Lay him down! Lay him down! The Connor cartel is off the field, and Penix plummets. These are some of the stories we're bringing you on the Week 3 weekend wrap-up.
Let's go, Bigs.
I'm actually kind of proud of myself because I only fumbled on one of those three things. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with Greinberg and Biggs weekend wrap-up. You know how we do it. We be burning it down. We bring you the weekend warm-up on the Dynasty Pulse, and then we bring you the weekend wrap-up on the Fantasy Forecast. We're talking storylines. There were so many storylines from yesterday. Like, how did the 49ers eke out a win losing Nick Bosa? They didn't deserve that. Also, Spencer Rattler, he is tall, slow Kyler Murray. But there's other stuff that we need to talk about. Let's get into it. How about we do that, Mike?
Yeah, let's do it. It's the end of week 3 and a lot of storylines that we got to talk about. A lot of things are happening. You know, the landscape is now starting to fall into place. The pieces are all coming together, and we've got some, topics, some storylines that we have to hit up here, Biggs, because our viewers need to know what is going on. And CeeDee Lamb is down, the Cowboys stumble, and the fantasy fallout from CeeDee's injury. Week 3 delivered a gut punch to both the Cowboys offense and to fantasy managers banking on CeeDee Lamb. The star wideout exited early in the Cowboys 31-14 blowout loss to the Chicago Bears in what was now believed to be a high ankle sprain. It has been confirmed, and most wide receivers or most people miss 4 to 6 weeks off that. The Cowboys are being pretty optimistic and not downplaying this much. They think he could be back in the 10 to 14 day range, which would leave the Cowboys without their star wide receiver for at least 1, potentially 2. I'm thinking more along the 3 to 4 week range, Biggs. But with CeeDee Lamb sidelined at least a couple weeks here, what do you think this means for Dak Prescott moving forward as we look, to fade this QB1 in QB1 leagues, or can he still be a viable streamer in the right matchup? Or are there pass catchers in Dallas you trust to step up in his absence now? What's a hard downgrade down the board? What are we talking about here with CeeDee gone?
So I'm not downgrading Dak very much. He's still got George Pickens. We saw last year George Pickens can be the primary target in an offense. I think that's kind of what the Cowboys were going for when they signed George Pickens or when they traded for him. Jalen Tolbert is also a fairly competent receiver, and Kevontae Turpin is kind of one of those guys where you want to scheme him up and utilize his speed. He does bring value to the returning game, but we saw him make some catches down the field. That guy can play. So they do have Jake Ferguson. They've got Luke Schoonmaker. They're going to be okay. Dak Prescott is going to be fine. He might not be top 12 fine, but as your second quarterback in a super flex or as a bench start, if you have a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen and they go out on bye and you have Dak Prescott in your lineup, they're going to be just fine. There are also some shootouts that are going to happen. One of the things that we saw from the Dallas defense is they cannot stop the deep pass. Now, we know that the Cowboys have thrown out some big contracts to cornerbacks that are not necessarily on, the Sauce Gardner, Surtain level of shutdown corners. They're big splash play guys, which is what Jerry Jones likes. He doesn't care if you get torched on 90% of your coverage, as long as you have that one big splash play, which is basically what the Cowboys cornerbacks do. But what that means, and what we saw from a Caleb Williams renaissance, DJ Moore having a game, Luther Burden having a game, Romo Dunze, who you called out in your starts, having a huge breakout. We saw that the Cowboys just can't cover people. And so all Caleb Williams needs to do is just chuck the ball and pray. And that's what he did. So everybody's going to do that to the Cowboys from now on, which means Dak's going to be in a perfect game script for fantasy. So I'm not downplaying him very much. And I'm actually elevating the other Cowboys wide receivers. They need somebody else to step in with 12 to 14 targets per game. And those, we may not see George Pickens get 12 to 14 targets per game, but we're certainly going to see those targets spread out to Jalen Tolbert and Jake Ferguson and George Pickens.
Yeah, I really like what I saw from Jake Ferguson. Even when CeeDee Lamb was in the lineup the last couple of games, he's looked pretty good. So this is only going to mean wheels up for him. And I like what I see here. And I agree with you. They're bigs on the Dak Prescott train, and not downgrading them at all. Really, this is still a team that's going to have some weak defensive fronts, and they're going to be in some shootouts regardless. They may not be a winning squad, but that squad might be winning your fantasy team some games here down the stretch. So let's keep that moving on. Now, another punishing injury that took place on Sunday was James Conner going down, carted off. Arizona's backfield in a little bit of turmoil now. Week 3 took a brutal turn for the Cardinals and their fans. Fantasy managers relying on veteran James Conner. The 30-year-old was carted off the field with visible pain during Arizona's loss, and looked like his right ankle was bent awkwardly in the first quarter. The scene was somber, no replay shown. The entire Cardinals team surrounding him in support, and he is done for the year. Reports have confirmed that it is a serious ankle injury, and surgery will be required, and he's out indefinitely. So looking at Trey Benson here to step up, and he's going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about him more in the waiver wire top.
Spoiler alert.
Exactly. But Biggs, with this James Conner injury, leaves a huge hole in the Cardinals offense and opens the door for obviously Trey Benson to step up into a potentially league-winning role. How aggressive should fantasy managers be on Benson this week? Is he a plug-and-play RB2 as we learn more, or does he have a season-long upside while Conner is out for good?
Ready? Okay. B, aggressive. B-E, aggressive. Yes, Trey Benson is an answer. During my home league dynasty post-rookie draft roster scuttling, I traded Trey Benson for a bunch of future draft picks. Not real happy about that move at this moment, but I should feel better about it in 2027 when I have 3 first-rounders. Trey Benson is a good running back, and he was scoring points in a RB2 role. I don't see Amari DiMercado doing the same thing that Trey Benson did in the RB2 spot, but I do see Trey Benson being able to replicate what James Conner should be asked to do. So Trey Benson is to the moon for me. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The other problem is Kyler Murray. I was watching that game, and he's not good. So we might see a situation in which Trey Benson needs to step forward in the passing game because Kyler Murray can't get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. He can't get the ball to Trey McBride very well, although we did see, Trey McBride made the end zone by week 3. But if Trey Benson can catch the ball and Kyler Murray doesn't do his little water skeeter spider thing, Trey Benson could be like to the moon.
Yeah, I completely agree with this here. And, he's a guy that when he's in the lineup here, there's no real competition, like you mentioned. DiMercado, yeah, he's in there, but he's not going to garner the snaps that Trey Benson was taken away from James Conner. So this looks like, the full lion's share here for Trey Benson. And if you mentioned some passing upside here, wow, this could be a smash league winner for a lot of people that drafted him late.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit and save it for the end of the show.
Let's go. All right. A little bit of a teaser there, but folks, let's move on to another storyline that obviously needs some attention here. And Michael Penix, he plummets, if you know what I mean.
Junior.
Sophomore wall. The warning signs. What's happening here in Atlanta here, Biggs? After a promising start from his rookie campaign, the latter half of last year, he had a couple starts there, looked really good, but this year he's hit the wall and hard in week 3. Fantasy managers took it right on the chin alongside him. Penix completed just 18 of 36 passes for 172 yards and no touchdowns, 2 interceptions in a humiliating loss, 30-0 to the struggling Carolina Panthers. It marked the worst outing of his young career and the first time he thrown multiple picks in a game. Worst yet, Penix pulled the fourth quarter after trailing 27-0, making way for veteran backup Kirk Cousins, who completed 5 of 7 in garbage time. Now 2 straight games without a passing touchdown, and his decision-making appears to be regressing. This offense has sputtered, and for fantasy purposes, so has the value of its pass catchers. What started off as a promising high upside QB2 streamer now looks shaky, especially with the potential shadow of a QB controversy forming in the background. Penix will get another shot in week 4 against the Commanders, possibly in a head-to-head with fellow, first-round draft pick Jaden Daniels if he comes back healthy. But fantasy managers are left wondering, back-to-back rough outings, Biggs, and now a fourth quarter benching, even if unofficial. Are you panicking on the Penix as a QB2? Is he worth holding in one quarterback leagues? Has his shine worn off? And should, you start preparing for Kirk Cousins to enter the mix if Penix doesn't bounce back quickly here?
Let me start this off by saying that I do not own any Penix shares. Let me return to that with, I am not worried about Michael Penix's performance. He went up against a Carolina Panthers defense. The defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers is UC Davis's own alumni, Ejiro Evero. There's 2 things that we know about this game. Number 1, it was against the Carolina Panthers, and I told you all last year that the Carolina Panthers had an underrated pass defense. Number 2, Ejiro Evero is a defensive coordinator mastermind, and the Carolina Panthers' problems do not start with their defense. Ejiro Evero happens to be a graduate of my one of the schools that I attended in college, UC Davis. That's where I currently live. Shout out Lan Larison, hashtag whatever. And okay, so Ejiro Evero is good. I've seen insiders say that if Ejiro Evero is ever given a head coach interview, he's going to get the job because he is that good and that smart. That's the defense that went up against the Atlanta Falcons, who see the Atlanta Falcons twice every year. This was a division game. You throw everything out the window with a division game. You throw all analysis out the window. Look at the Broncos and the Chargers. Who had it going like that? You throw it out the window. Look at the Chargers versus the Chiefs. You throw it out the window because it's a division game. Things happen that surprise. And one of the themes of this show over the course of many episodes every week for the last 3 weeks has been, don't make any rash decisions this early in the season. It's small sample sizes. It's things that surprise. And if it happens to Michael Penix in week 14, nobody blinks an eye. But if it happens in week 2 and 3, then people start to panic. Don't panic. Michael Penix is fine.
All right, man. I'm not going to panic on the Penix, but hopefully he can get himself back up and into the lineup here. And
Kirk Cousins is not taking over this offense. RIP to Schultz's Kyle Pitts start, but yeah, Penix is going to be fine.
All right. Well, another guy that is trending down, and is it time to panic on Brian Thomas Jr. Another week, another letdown for BTJ. Fantasy managers are officially getting anxious. The second-year Jaguar receiver caught just 2 of 6 targets for 55 yards in Sunday's 17-10 win over the Texans, salvaging his day with a late game 46-yard catch that helped seal the win. But outside of that one play, it was more of the same: inefficiency, miscommunication, and a troubling lack of chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. Through 3 weeks, Thomas now holds a disappointing 7 for 115 stat line on 25 targets, barely a 28% catch rate. And while he's commanding a strong 26% target share, the production simply isn't following. Making matters murkier is the mysterious wrist injury that was only reported after week 2, raising questions about whether his struggles are physical or something deeper. We mentioned a close friend passed away, him as well. There could be some mental issues as well, damaging his gameplay here. Fantasy analysts, we are all split here. Some see him as a wide receiver 1, getting open and just waiting for the line to break out. And others see, if Thomas is in a cautionary tale and if he's hit his plateau in his rookie season. Now, Biggs, after 3 weeks in, what's your take on Brian Thomas Jr.? He's just got one decent fantasy outing, and even that was saved by that deep ball. What is your take on fantasy managers? Should they hit the panic button, or, what's going to happen here? They got a tough matchup against the 49ers coming, and it's going to look more of the same maybe. Would you consider sitting him if you have a stronger options, or what do we need to do here with Brian Thomas Jr.?
Okay, so this is a tough one because there are I don't know if any of the normal viewers know this, but there are a lot of facets to Biggs' personality, and every one of them is screaming a different thing right now. So I was out on Brian Thomas Jr. going into the 2024 season. I was in on him going to the 2025 season. I didn't think that him and Trevor Lawrence were going to be a problem. I thought that like somebody on this show that wasn't me was saying that it was a Mac Jones thing. I watched Brian Thomas Jr. drop some passes in the end zone last year. I watched him be a body catcher and had some concerns. So these things might be a little bit more amplified now than they were the week, like the year before, because he had a great finish in 2024. Now, here's the thing. Coming up this week, when we do our starts and sit show for the fantasy forecast, you are not allowed to have Brian Thomas Jr. as a sit. I am going to give Schultze the opportunity to put him as a sit. If he does not, I'm going to take him as a sit. I am not sold on Brian Thomas Jr. right now. And you know what? There is some stuff, and we've talked about this in the last couple shows. There might be some intangible, non-analytical things that we have to look at, including depression. These are things that they're not out there in the fantasy landscape that Brian Thomas Jr. may be going through. For that, he is a fade for me. There might be something more. You might be correct with his relationship with Trevor Lawrence. At this point, the Jacksonville Jaguars actually pulled out a win against the Houston Texans, who have a pretty good defense. And they did it on the backs of like Parker Washington and Brenton Strange, because I know that Trevor didn't have a great game, and BTJ didn't have a great game, and Travis Hunter didn't have a great game, and Travis Etienne didn't have a great game. So how did they do it? Well, if I'm looking for somebody in Jacksonville to kind of carry the load, am I looking at Parker Washington now? Again, it's a small sample size. We are judging on 3 weeks. We don't know what the long-term status of BTJ is at this point. But some of the things that were concerns for me going into 2024 and in the first half of 2024, before Mac Jones entered the picture, are starting to kind of rear their ugly heads. So I'm going to fade him. watch our fantasy forecast show with starts and sits coming up before the weekend, and you'll see which one of us and what we have to say about fading Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah. I'm on the same boat here. I think there's some more than meets the eye there.
Big ass boat.
New coaching staff too, and they're a little bit more competitive forward here. Their games scripts might be a little bit more tighter moving forward, less open like they were in last year's offense, where they were just kind of throwing the ball up and letting them do his thing. And I think they want more of a controlled offense, and you may not see that target concentration on one guy now. They're spreading the ball around a bit more. And you could see that, even De'Ami Brown has been a force there, like has been on the map.
We called that.
Taking some targets away. Yeah, we called a lot of that stuff happening before the Travis Hunter draft, right? We had some high hopes on De'Ami Brown and Parker Washington before that, and that kind of just faded away. But maybe now it's coming back, resurfacing. De'Ami Brown got paid. And it was early, so they obviously had some plans, and Parker Washington definitely showed some optimistic play at the end of last year. I remember him having like a couple good games in a row. So
let's look at something on balance real quick. So you have two teams in the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars who had changes at their offensive coordinator spot. And you have Liam Cohen, who's known as the quarterback whisperer, that came into Jacksonville. And you have Ben Johnson, who is one of the architects of the Detroit Lions offense, who came into Chicago. Well, what are the records of those two teams? If I'm not mistaken, Chicago is 1-2 and Jacksonville is 2-1. So while there may be growing pains with everybody across the board in Jacksonville, Liam Cohen is kind of a mastermind. And like you said, it may be spread out. It may be some targets that we don't see coming. But again, it's week 3, and let's be measured. Let's be measured.
Mm-hmm.
We might sit Brian Thomas Jr. this week, but let's still kind of save our overall analysis for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, and we can't, panic either. I mean, no one's buying him at this stage, and it's not worth the draft capital that you certainly, gave up if you're in a redraft league. Probably drafting him at the end of the first, early second round, and you're holding your breath right now, and your team probably isn't doing very well at this stage of the game, and you're going to have to hold off. What's that?
I don't have that problem.
Me neither. I mean, I don't think
I'm running away with all of my ESPN leagues.
We have not been huge on pushing Brian Thomas on this show this offseason. I personally wasn't. I faded him a little bit based off of other reasons, not the Tucker Washington reason, but it was more the Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter. I thought Travis Hunter might have played a bit more of a role, but it's going to somebody else. If that could happen still.
It still could happen because he has higher draft capital than Brian Thomas Jr. So it could be that Jacksonville brass looks at the contract that they gave as a rookie to Travis Hunter and says, get this man the ball.
Yeah, we got a lot going on here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, like our pregame warm-ups for Sunday morning breakfast with Biggs, coffee. We got it all. We've got last call Monday night.
Yeah.
Weekly kickoff Tuesday. Queen's Ransom on Wednesday. Points after Thursday.
Points after Thursday
night. And from the forum, we got it all. We got everything happening. So if you got start and sit questions, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We've got everything coming here on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Do it.
Do it. We have to take. Now it's the time of the show where we have to take ownership over our directions over last weeks. Yeah, sometimes we do. And, just like some of these fantasy teams, sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to get rolling. And we're going to go over our studs and dud calls from last week. Starting with, let's go over Schultze's ones first. Schulte had his studs of the week. Well, he just told everybody to start Daniel Jones and to start Kyle Pitts.
One for one. One for two.
1 for 2.
500 average. Great.
500 average. And then he said to sit Bo Nix and sit Brees Hall. Great calls there, Schultze. 3-1 for the week. So 3 Studley calls, 1 Dudley call. Biggs, do you want me to go or shall you?
I'll go, but I just want to say this. Number 1, first off, to kick it off after the first kickoff, because this is the second kickoff, because we did Schultze. Sometimes, meaning every week, Mike gets to run the show sheet. So he puts out the show sheet, and when he does that, he has his calls in there. Sometimes what I think is my call is already in there, and I have to pivot. This is one of those weeks. But I will own what I said, and I thought that I was going to see more involvement from Jake Tungus. I didn't. I said also to start Jake Browning. That was a terrible decision. But I know a lot of people did the same thing as I did. Look at his record and his past, and he's been great and going against a not great defense, and he's been fine. But he was a bad call. Jamar Chase was a bad call. Everybody on the Bengals was a bad call. I said to start Pacheco. The reason was sound. What played out in the game was terrible. I said to sit Devontae Adams. Sometimes you say sit, and the guy only had 3 catches for like 40 yards. But one of those was a touchdown. So that puts him in wide receiver 2 range. I apologize if that hurt, if you banked on my decision or my
expertise.
What do you call it? No, my suggestion. Thank you. The suggestion. And I said to bench Josh Jacobs, which was great because Cleveland's defense is real. And Josh Jacobs had a hell of a time. And somehow the Cleveland Clowns, shout out Jamie Pirog, came out ahead of the Green Bay Packers, who after 2 weeks, we all had like penciled in as the Super Bowl candidate. That's why we always say, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's wait until week 4 before we see what's going on.
There you have it. All right, let's go over my starts and sit Studley calls, and I did pretty darn good. I'd have to say, pat myself on the back for this one. I did get first on the show sheet, I guess, but I do send it out blank and get everybody some time to jump in there first. So, yeah, let's continue on with my Studley call. I told everybody to sit Tetatora McMillan, and he went 3 for 48. So a really down day for Tet. Then we went Roma Dunze start. He had
couldn't get it in the show sheet.
Roma Dunze 3 for 62 and a touchdown. I think that was a success. Javonte Williams went 10
again in the show sheet.
10 for 76, and then 5 for 16 in the air. So pretty good performance on a week where not a whole lot of fantasy points were scored. And then I told everybody to sit Jalen Warren, who had 18 carries for only 48 yards versus that tough Patriots defense. He saved his day a little bit there with some catching upside, 5 for 38. So not a complete fail, but certainly not what you were expecting from a guy that was a full asset workhorse back the week before. So I think 4 for 4 is pretty good. Maybe 3 and 1, but definitely veered you in the right direction this week, and hopefully to do the same headed into week 4.
We all did. It's all analysis. Let's go.
Let's go, Biggs. Let's go into our waiver wire pickups now. A lot going on this week. Not a whole lot of action in some of the areas, but still some guys that you should have on your radar. Let's start with your pick at the tight end quarterback position.
We be coming through in your area, causing all kinds of hysteria. Okay, sorry, you said area. It just triggered me. All right, we're doing QB tight end. I got a quarterback. The drum beat has begun. You go now, straight to, well, wait until the Monday night game is over because it's not going to let you make a. Go get Jackson Dart now. This is a kid who is going to take over a New York Giants offense that is less Tyrone Tracy and more Cam Scatabo and more Malik Neighbors and Sterling Shepard. Why am I saying that name? He is going to find himself in a spot where he's going to be able to throw the ball deep. We saw what happened a couple weeks ago with Russell Wilson throwing deep to Malik Neighbors. Malik gets under the ball. Plus, Cam Scatabo, top running back in FBS receiving in 2024. Jackson Dart has the rushing upside to be a cheat code in fantasy. The drumbeat has begun for Brian Dable to bench Russell Wilson and put Jackson Dart in. It may not be in week 4. It may not be in week 5, but it's going to happen soon. So if you don't have Jackson Dart on your radar right now, get him in your lineup on waivers now because he's coming.
It's coming for you. You know what? I wasn't really able to pay attention to anything you said after you said Shepherd's, and I had shepherd's pie for supper tonight, so it was a delicious treat.
I want my taqueria Guadalajara fried rice. Why can't I get that?
Skip the dishes. Would have had it.
If I was in Canada.
You would have, yeah, taqueria. Yep. All right, well, I'm going to get into my waiver wire pickup, and I'm going to talk about a tight end that, we talked about last year on the show quite often. It was kind of like a yin and yang kind of situation for Hunter Henry. He would go off one week, and then it would hit the rubble the next, and it kind of is the same situation here. After 3 weeks of dart throws and tight end roulette, one name has finally emerged, and that's Hunter Henry. He was my top tight end waiver wire pickup headed into week 4. He's that veteran tight end presence. He turned back the clock with a dominant performance in week 3. He torched the Steelers for 8 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Most importantly, he got the trust of Drake May, who leaned on Henry early and often when things broke down, particularly in the red zone. And while the Patriots offense is still a work in progress, his role is anything but uncertain. He's running routes, he's staying on the field, and he's clearly the most reliable target May has at this stage of the game. Sure, there's always risk with tight ends who rely on touchdowns, but his usage and rapport with May say that this could be more than just a 1 week spike. If you're hurting at tight end, and let's be honest, who isn't, it's time to smash that add button. 11 targets in 3 weeks, not great, but a lot of those came in this last day game here. He's got the red zone upside, and he may come through with you if you need him, and it might be tough to peg the week, but he's a guy that is definitely worth rostering and potential, not just a flash in the pan here.
So I think the outlier here is going to be week 2. Against Miami, he had 3 targets, but he had 8 targets against the Raiders. He had 11 targets against Pittsburgh. Hunter Henry is a guy that I drafted as my backup tight end in so many leagues this year. I am absolutely real on Hunter Henry's ability, his talent level, what he can do with Drake May. Woo pig suey. I'm all in on Hunter Henry. This is one of those calls where this was one of, well, I have to be honest. He wasn't one of my waiver wire pickups because I already had him.
There you go. All right, Biggs. I'm going to go ahead and make this your spotlight tonight because it's a Raider, it's a wide receiver, and I want to hear about your top pickup this week. So let's get your spotlight rocking.
All right, so I'm wearing a Raiders hat, and I just want to go through this a little bit. On March 16th, the Podfather, head of Player Profiler, said, After flying through Player Profiler's data analysis tool, these are the definitive 10 biggest winners for fantasy football from the NFL free agent frenzy period below. And after reading all that, my quote tweet was, "The lack of Tre Tucker is alarming." On 11 March, that's how they say it in Britain and Canada, I said, "Flag plant, Tre Tucker, third-year breakout." On 10 June, Geno Smith is an assassin with his deep ball arm. Quote, 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 "Don't sleep on Tre Tucker." Tre Tucker is my absolute wide receiver ad for this year. He was wide receiver 3 for the season so far in week 3. I was telling you in the springtime that Tre Tucker was going to have an absolute breakout. One of those things is that Tre Tucker had like a 98% snap share last year. He just didn't have a quarterback that could get him the ball. Geno Smith can get the ball downfield. And what do we see? A 3-touchdown game from Tre Tucker. Now, is Tre Tucker going to do that again? Not necessarily. Is he going to be the number one ad because of the fact that he had a 3-touchdown game? Probably. So you need to have a high waiver order going into the week, or you're going to need to spend a lot of fab, but do it. Put Tre Tucker on your team. He is legit, and I've been trying to say it for the last 8 months. Let's go, Tre Tucker.
Got some Tre Tucker speed up the middle here. So another speedy freight train that picked up on my team, left behind me because of the rubble left from, guys like Xavier Worthy hitting the bench and Rashee Rice. I'm talking about Tyquan Thornton. Former Patriot, Chiefs wide receiver. He led the team in targets in week 3 and receiving yards. What's that?
Oh, that's not on the show sheet.
Yeah, well, I had to take your Tre Tucker away from you, so I let you have your Tre Tucker. So I'm going with Thornton. So, he was targeted 9 times, finished with 5 catches, 71 yards and a touchdown, and he was almost 2 touchdowns in. He got knocked down at the 1 there before Kareem Hunt punched it in. Now the 25-year-old has recorded 9 catches and 171 yards, 2 scores through his first 3 games in 2025. And like I mentioned, Xavier Worthy, his shoulder, Rashee Rice's suspension on the sidelines. Thornton has emerged as the Chiefs wide receiver 1 over the last 2 weeks, with Worthy likely not to return until maybe week 4, potentially week 5. It could eat into his workload, but Thornton may have passed the veteran wideout Marquise Brown on the depth chart, and he's still worth adding in deeper leagues headed into week 4 matchup against the Ravens, which I think the Chiefs are certainly going to need some upside here, because I think that's going to be a game where their defense is going to be stretched thin, even home in Arrowhead. So yeah, Biggs, that is my waiver wire pickup at the wide receiver position outside of obviously your guy, Tre Tucker.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call.
All right, man. Talk about your running back pickup. Who's your running back that you want to pick up this week outside of my spotlight? Because, probably want the same guy, but there's got to be some,
Yeah, I had it before I saw the show sheet, because you get to the show sheet. Anyway, so the guy that I'm picking up this week is Jeremy McNichols. Now, it seems like with Austin Eckler's injury, Jeremy McNichols is not necessarily changing his role. He had a 19% snap share in week 1, a 23% snap share in week 2, and a 26 snap share in week 3, which leaves him like right around continuous usage, and the Commanders know exactly what they want to do with him. Here's the thing. Everybody has been on Bill Krosky-Merritt. Chris Rodriguez is the other guy in the offense with Austin Eckler out of commission. But when you look at what's going on with Jeremy McNichols, he had a 20-point yards per carry average with the Raiders. He broke out. In the game in week 1 that he got 4 carries, he had a 6.25 yards per carry average against the New York Giants. This is elite yards per carry. He didn't have any carries in week 2 against Green Bay, but that was Green Bay. He had 0 touches. He had a 23% snap share, but still 0 touches. It could be that in week 3, Jeremy McNichols went out and showed Dan Quinn, hey, I'm going to be your guy. If his snap percentage increases over the next few weeks, he's got matchups against the Falcons, the Chargers, the Chicago Bears, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, Seattle. Over the next 6 weeks, if Jeremy McNichols increases his touch percentage, this kid could absolutely go off. He had a touchdown, which means he had a goal line carry, or he had a very long run. 4 rushes, 78 yards. That's a breakout performance for somebody who is trying to cover for an injured RB1 in Austin Eckler. Go pick up Jeremy McNichols. It's not going to cost you a whole lot. And if he doesn't do anything in the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to be okay. But if he hits, you're going to want him on your roster.
Yeah, there's some ambiguity in that backfield now with Eckler gone, and there's quite a bit of a timeshare looking, but McNichols looking pretty explosive and might be the guy you want in that offense in the backfield. Let's get into my spotlight and my running back top ad. Well, it's no surprise that we all kind of had Trey Benson circled as our top waiver wire ad of the week in any position because it was a brutal blow for the Cardinals and fantasy managers alike, that season-ending injury to James Conner. It closes the door, it opens up another, and the opening now belongs to Trey Benson. The second year back out of Florida State, stepped into Connor mid-game, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, he led the team in rushing, 42 yards on just 10 carries. Decent, 4.2 yards per carry there. He's there. He's going to lead the backfield. And like Biggs mentioned earlier in the show, he's got some pass catching opportunity here as well. He's got size. He's got some speed, and in limited work before week 3, he had already shown flashes. He averaged 6 yards per carry across his first 21 touches with a soft upcoming schedule and no true threat for early down roll. Fantasy managers may be looking to break the bank, dump the money, get everything you need to get Trey Benson in your lineup because sometimes league winners happen, and this guy could be that. 125 rushing yards on 21 carries before week 3. Great efficiency, 8 catches on 9 targets this season, and that is being, a complimentary guy. So, Connor's vacated touches over 15 per game. I think that Benson's floor is built on volume, and this is going to be a big one for Trey Benson and the Cardinals moving forward. He just didn't inherit a mentor's workload. He possibly is your fantasy season's turning point here if you were running back needy, and he's the guy. He is probably the most important waiver wire pickup at this stage of the season right now, almost. So look at Trey Benson as a guy you need to have here moving forward, folks. Biggsy?
I am looking over everything, and I have him in 2 out of 40 leagues, and he is on every other roster. So it might be hard to go grab him just simply because the last couple weeks he's been getting good usage as the RB2, enough to score fantasy points. But if you have him available and you can, I don't want to say blow your entire fab budget, but think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth a shot here at it because these type of workloads don't come that easily, and a guy that could potentially be the guy for the next couple of years, especially in Dynasty. I'm sure a lot of people in Dynasty have already got their Trey Benson bags packed, but the people that had a lot of ambition for him, have good beliefs in him. So I'm not sure they're going to be budging at this stage, but in redraft, if he's on your waiver wire, like Big said, there'd be a heavy consideration here to get everything in there.
This could be like 2024 Chase Brown level.
There it is. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Biggs. Good show. We're headed into week 4. What do we got on the slate moving forward this week? We got a full slate of things happening here.
Yeah. So the next time we see you guys is going to be points after Thursday at the end of Thursday Night Football. Come to us for a breakdown of the Thursday night game. I believe it's the Seahawks this year who look like an absolute buzzsaw. And we'll give you some starts and sits stuff. Then Friday, it's our starts and sits show. Saturday, Dynasty Pulse. Unless I have those two things mixed up, and Friday is Dynasty Pulse and Saturday is the starts and sits show. And then 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 11:30 a.m. Oh, wait. Yeah, on Sunday, except that there's a European game which starts at 6:30. So it's going to be Breakfast with Biggs. I'm going to introduce a cocktail. The last one I did, oh my God. I cannot stop talking about the Moldovo Nog, whatever I made on Sunday. If you go back and watch Breakfast with Biggs, get that recipe and blow your family's mind at Christmas. That nog is incredible. But yeah, I'll have another breakfast cocktail for you at 8:30 a.m. West Coast time on Sunday, which will be after the 6:30 game start. And then spilled coffee following me. And I don't know why the system messed up. I clicked on the end stream button.
Nothing to do with you.
And I thought that I was cool. But maybe Amber messed up. I don't know. So yeah. Also, the merch store, like and subscribe, hit the bell, all of the calls to action, all the stuff. You know the drill, viewer. I'm talking to you, viewer. You know who you are. Yeah,
let's go. All right, folks. Hopefully we set you up for a great waiver wire ad week and set you up for a good week of football ahead. So from all of us on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, we hope you win. Peace out.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.